So we're going to do presentations first. Yeah. Okay. Welcome everybody to the Rensselaer County Legislature. Tonight we're going to first start off with presentations that were passed in previous months, primarily most of them last month. Then we'll go on to public discussion on any issues that are on the agenda tonight, and then we'll move forward to voting on those agenda items. We have the first presentation tonight is a resolution recognizing September 17th, 23rd, 2019 as United States Constitution Week in Rensselaer County. Representative Alice Goebel, presentation by Todd Tessman. Ms. Goebel, could you come down? And Todd and anybody else from the legislature would like to be part of the presentation. Alice, it's nice to see you again. Thank you.
Hello, Alice. It is great to see you. Thank you for making Peter good. Peter. Good evening. Right now, I would like to read resolution number P319, which was passed at last month's legislative meeting. The resolution recognizing September 17th through 23rd, 2019 as United States Constitution Week in Rensselaer County. It reads, whereas September 17th, 2019 marks the 232nd anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention. And whereas the Constitution was intended to achieve 6 purposes: to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our prosperity. Whereas the founders secured the principles expressed in the Declaration of Independence by establishing a government that derives its power from the consent of the American people. The government established by the Constitution formed a remarkably resilient structure, balancing necessary authority and inherent freedoms, national unity with individual rights, and the federal interest with state powers. Whereas on this week, we should remember those who have made sacrifices to defend the Constitution of the United States for over 2 centuries, for it is the patriotism that we enjoy unprecedented freedoms and opportunities. Whereas it is fitting and proper to officially recognize our Constitution with a Bill of Rights and Amendments which has withstood the test of time, steering our country through times of prosperity and peace, and guiding us through the depths of eternal conflict and war. It is also fitting and proper to officially recognize the patriotic celebration which will commemorate the formation and signing of the U.S. Constitution by 39 brave men on September 7th, 1787, recognizing all who are born in the U.S. or by naturalization have become citizens. Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America, designating September 17th through the 23rd as Constitutional Week. Now therefore be it that the Rensselaer County Legislature does hereby proclaim September 17th through the 23rd, 2019 to be Constitution Week in Rensselaer County, and ask our citizens to reaffirm the ideals the framers of this Constitution recognized in 1787. You know, this really is such a special celebration, a special week. Alice, it's great to see you again. Peter, as well. You know, as a 57-year-old, I'm humbled by the interest and preservation of this Constitution from people such as yourself, Alice. You know, and as you grow and age and mature, you learn the importance of it. You know, it is just the backbone and the foundation of this great country that we live in. And especially now, when we see nearly every day attacks on the most basic rights of the individuals of this country, whether it be religious liberty from some misconceived conception of the separation of church and state, to peaceful protesters being attacked by violence, by ourselves, our family, and our property. You know, we hear candidates running for the 2020 presidential election, and the overwhelming majority of them are proposing a mandated firearm buyback, which realistically, a mandated firearm buyback. That is a clear constitutional problem. It's nothing more than confiscation in disguise. Red flag laws. You know, you can't be any more unjust than a red flag law. You know, stamping on the Constitution of the United States. You know, guilty until proven innocent. You know, that's not what that document says. That's not what this week stands for. That's not what you come here every year and address this crowd of people and this legislature. That's not the way it was supposed to be. We need to stand strong against it. Every one of us on this floor right now swore an oath to abide by and protect the Constitution of the United States. It's not just a formality. You know, it's a promise to our Creator. And I take that very seriously. Every year I mature a little bit more seriously every year. It's not just some misconception from drinking too much coffee out of styrofoam cups. You know, this is something that I was blessed with, the ability to use common sense and logic to interpret this great Constitution and understand that it needs to be handed down from generation to generation, and it needs to be protected. We swore an oath to do just that, and I have every intentions on doing that. So, Alice, if you'd like to say a word or two?
No, I'm just going to say thank you very much for the proclamation, and I would ask everyone to just follow the Constitution, read the Constitution, study the Constitution, and live up to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Alice. Peter, I'm just saying it. I'm going to put you on the spot. No, you're good? Okay. Yeah. Alice, please accept this proclamation from the Rensselaer County Legislature.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Peter. Thank you.
Thank you, Alice. Thank you, Peter, as always. Thank you, every year. Reading the Constitution. Boy, I wish there was more people that did that. Thank you, Todd. Thank you very much for that, as well as Miss Allison, Alice Goebel. Next resolution is P30219, a resolution recognizing September 2019 as National Recovery Month in Rensselaer County. Representatives from the County Mental Health would be Kathy Coons and guest, presented by Tom Grant. Well, I guess we don't have Kathy.
Thank you for coming down. Thank you. Resolution 302 of the year of 2019. Resolution recognizing September 2019 as National Recovery Month in Rensselaer County. Whereas Recovery Month in 2019 has the theme of Join the Voices for Recovery, invest in health, home, purpose, and community. And whereas behavioral health is an essential part of health and overall wellness, and whereas prevention of mental health, gambling and/or substance use disorders, work treatment is effective, and people do recover in our community, state, and nation. And whereas the Rensselaer County Department of Mental Health Substance Abuse Prevention Program has provided substance abuse prevention to the people of Rensselaer County since 1984, with a specialized emphasis directed at decreasing occurrences of underage drinking and drugging. And whereas the Rensselaer County Department of Mental Health has added to its staff a certified recovery peer engagement specialist who has personal experience and expertise in addiction services, and whereas addiction crosses economic, education, gender, race, geographic, and age demographics, and whereas emerging research shows that peer support is effective in facilitating recovery from substance use disorders, and whereas addiction, as evidenced by the heroin opiate epidemic, of too many lives. And whereas we must encourage relatives and friends of people with mental health, gambling, and/or substance abuse disorders to implement preventative measures, recognize the signs of a problem, and guide those in need to appropriate treatment and recovery support services. And whereas here in Rensselaer County, the Rensselaer County Department of Mental Health, as the local government unit, continually works to further develop a recovery-oriented continuum of care, including medication-assisted treatment, concurrently provided with counseling, MICA treatment services, increased residential beds, outpatient treatment, peer support, and development of fully integrated ambulatory detox rehab facilities. And whereas Recovery Month highlights and encourages people who have reclaimed their lives and are living happy and healthy lives in long-term recovery to celebrate their successes and share them with others in an effort to educate the public that there is a way out from addiction. The Rensselaer County Department of Mental Health invite all residents of Rensselaer County to participate in National Recovery Month, September 2019. And therefore, be it resolved that the month of September 2019 be recognized as National Recovery Month in Rensselaer County. Would you like to say a few words?
Hi, thank you. I'm Kirsten Donvito, Deputy Commissioner of Mental Health in Rensselaer County, and it's an honor and privilege to represent the department tonight. I want to thank the legislature for recognizing September as Recovery Month. The Mental Health Department continues with its commitment to expand services across the county for adolescents, adults, and families that are impacted by addiction. Too often we hear of the devastation and the destruction that addiction brings with it. Tonight we're here to celebrate hope, to celebrate resiliency and wellness. It is a time to celebrate. With me tonight, I have proof that recovery is possible. Recovery does happen from addiction. I'm honored here tonight to be with Jesse Chapman, our peer engagement specialist for Rensselaer County Department of Mental Health, our one and only addiction engagement specialist, and he's touched hundreds of lives across the county in his 2 years of employment. We also have Kim, who will share her journey of recovery with you tonight and is a true inspiration to others to follow in her footsteps. And we have Tim Murdoch, community member and tireless advocate in our community here on behalf of families that are also impacted by addiction. So thank you for this recognition, and I'll pass it off to Kim.
Thank you, guys, and thank you for recognizing Recovery Month, because I feel like it's something that's kind of looked over. I'm not sure where to really begin, because I'm not too good at the public speaking thing, and I'm definitely underdressed for you guys, but I do have to go back to work. I'll introduce myself. My name's Kimberly Gibson. I'm 23, and I graduated from Averill Park High School in 2014. My journey of addiction originated with my father being an alcoholic. Growing up, my father did everything he had to do to make sure we were provided for, but he drank every single night, leaving the burden of us getting to sporting events, school functions on his girlfriend. My life was great even though he was an alcoholic, besides my stepfather being in prison, which made it so my mother was more focused on him than she was us. So she wasn't around much, but I eventually coped with that. I was an athlete in school, I got good grades, and I was on my way to a bright future. Then one sudden day, my brother got arrested for heroin in Schenectady. I started a downward spiral a little bit by neglecting school, my after-school activities, and even sports that I adored, including softball. My parents' focus was on my brother. It was like they didn't even care about the 8th grader that still had some hope. He ended up getting out of jail and carried on with life. In 2010, I was a freshman in high school, and I got suspended for fighting over a boyfriend who's completely irrelevant now. I look at that and think that was stupid, but then I thought it was the right idea. While I was suspended, my brother had to watch me, and one morning, my brother never came downstairs. His girlfriend called and said check on him, so I did exactly that. His door was locked and he wasn't answering. I called my father, he came home and kicked the door off the hinges. Truth is, my brother overdosed in his bedroom. I was surrounded by police officers, paramedics, and the ambulance in no time. Days on end, things didn't feel the same. I went back to school trying to be a normal teenager, but at times I even went down there to her office to get out of class, but she didn't know that. My life was chaos now. I managed it and got through it by participating in Students Against Destructive Decisions and all the school activities. Some I didn't even like, but it kept my mind focused. Now let's jump to graduation. At graduation, I looked around, and who didn't I see? I didn't see my mom, my stepfather, or my other brothers. So a good day went bad really quick. How come my mom went to my brother's graduation, but nothing for me? That's a question I still don't know the answer to. After graduation, I was still on a straight path until one day I was hanging out in East Greenbush and got arrested for drag racing around Hampton Manor Lake. I definitely got my 15 minutes of fame in that town, or so I thought. I made new friends in East Greenbush, and turns out they weren't my friends. They just wanted me to hop on their wagon. And guess what? As much as I hated drugs, I tried coke for the first time in 2015. After I tried it, I was kind of hooked. I tried and tried to get clean, but nothing worked. Until I went from stealing my dad's credit cards to working 17 hours a day to support it. Then I got the idea that I would just sell, so I would always have it. And then I met opiates, which was by far worse than cocaine was. I was running with that from 2016 until I got put away in Rensselaer County in March of 2017. 2 years, that's all it took before I was behind bars on multiple felonies for a criminal sale, multiple possessions, and of course, driving with no license because I lost at drag racing. I remember sitting in my cell wondering when I was going to go home, but I didn't even have a court date. It was absolutely the worst feeling in the world. Finally, I got a bail set, and my father said, "Tough love, kid. 13 times was enough." I wanted to hang up that phone on him so quick, but I knew it was the only time I was going to talk to him for that day, so I dealt with it. Days on end, I wondered when I was going to go home, if I ever was. 300 Xanax was a lot to get caught with. Well, I called my lawyer, and he said, "Task is coming to see you." I said, "Who's Task?" He said, "People who interview for a recommendation for rehab." I replied with, "I'm not going to rehab. I've been here for 3 weeks. I'm clean now." Well, he was right. Off to rehab I went with the help of Rensselaer County Drug Court. Drug Court honestly saved my life, and I know I hated answering to them, but I'm so grateful for them. I'm grateful for the sober people I met on Drug Court and all of my counselors who helped me get through it. It wasn't for Drug Court, my own will. Once I realized I needed it, my sober support and my counselors, I'd still probably be using today. And honestly, I'd probably be dead at this rate. So I'm thankful. As a community, I think we need to have more activities for the teenagers and more things to do through the Capital Region. One thing that really helped was knowing I had people around me who supported me, between the sober friends, sober counselors, the people who put on the NA camp out, places I could go, the walk in the park, things like that. Active kids are usually happy kids, whether it's a free concert in the park or at the beach with some volleyball. Maybe it's just my opinion, but I think busy kids are more likely to stay away from drugs or get into recovery if they knew that it was a new wave. People like trends, and if people being clean becomes a trend, some are going to follow, in my opinion. Once I made friends that were clean, I wanted to be clean too. People become a product of their environment. You're welcome.
Couldn't have been said any better, Kim. Thank you. I didn't know I was coming up here either, or else I would have wore a jacket myself. Thank you to the legislature for this proclamation, but it doesn't stop here. We have to keep going forward, as Kim had mentioned. We need to keep our foot on the gas. Education, awareness, treatment, recovery. Kim, Jesse, these guys are doing it. They're proof that it can be done. They are our leaders. We need to keep on looking towards them. I just want to say thank you to some of the special members here of the legislature, Bob Loveridge and Scott Bendette, who I talk with, if not daily, probably on a weekly basis, on events in our community, events in our schools, and you know, bringing our community together. If we do this one community at a time, guess what? We can get this done. So thank you.
And it's great to see what the mental health department for Rensselaer County is doing in order to turn things around with these people who do get off the beaten course a little bit and get them back online, because the end result is you're attending their wake or their funeral or something of that nature and not seeing them again. So kudos to mental health. Thank you very much. All righty. Next, we have, they're here. Who? Bob? Yeah. Okay. There was a question mark down here. Resolution recognizing September as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. In September 18, 2019, at Rensselaer County Goes Gold Day, represented by Bob Juka and family. Presentation by Tom Grant again.
Resolution recognizing September as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month and September 18th, 2019 as Rensselaer County Goes Gold Day. Whereas this legislative body has a record of advocating for protection of the health, safety, and quality of life of those who live and work in Rensselaer County, and whereas the American Cancer Society reports that cancer is the leading cause of death by disease among United States children between infancy and age 15, and estimates that more than 10,000 children will be diagnosed with cancer each year. And whereas although progress has been made in combating pediatric cancer, approximately 1,250 children younger than 15 years old will lose their battle with cancer. And whereas there is significant progress that still must be made with regard to childhood cancer treatment, progress towards an effective treatment is painfully slow, with dramatically fewer new FDA-approved treatments for childhood cancer approved each year than for cancer in adults. And whereas the designation of September as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month could, and hopefully should, increase the rate of early detection, lead to newer and improved treatments, and an overall higher survival rate for children diagnosed with the condition. And whereas the County of Rensselaer wishes to support the fight against childhood cancer in any way possible, so that we may give any child diagnosed with cancer the best chance possible. And whereas Rensselaer County Goes Gold is an initiative intended to raise awareness of the issue of childhood cancers, and the Rensselaer County Legislature would like to support such a campaign to help raise awareness in honor of the young patients, their loved ones, and all those who support them. Now therefore be it resolved, September 2019 is designated Childhood Cancer Awareness Month in the County of Rensselaer to promote awareness of pediatric cancer and to support the brave children who battle cancer every day. And be it further resolved that the Rensselaer County Legislature encourages participation in Gold Gold in September. So you can see we've had the gold bunting decorating our chamber today. By designating Saturday, September 18th, 2019 as Rensselaer County Goes Gold Day. And be it further resolved that the September 18th, 2000 designation of Rensselaer County Goes Gold Day will be in memory of Sean Yuha. Just a couple of personal remarks, if I can, about Sean. Just a great kid. A few years ago, a number of us had cause to walk through neighborhoods, coincidentally somewhat before November. Every few years we get to do that. Well, this occurred back in August. It was the hottest day of the month. Terrible day. We had walked up the street towards Bob's house, and our reception was not very well given. We had a couple of difficult neighbors who had some issues with us and had a number of questions, and things weren't going very well. So we were starting to get a little bit cranky and saying, you know, what the heck, you know, feeling sorry for ourselves. And then we came to Bob's house and we rang the door, and there was Sean answering the door, and who was battling this disease which ultimately took him. And he was the most cheerful, upbeat person you ever want to see. Greeting us at the door, asking us if we wanted to have a glass of water, just thinking of himself and not thinking of us and not himself. We were thinking of ourselves. And didn't feel sorry for himself, continued to play sports as often as he possibly could, was a real leader in his school. And it tends to put things into perspective for you. That, you know, you think you're having a tough day, and here is a young gentleman who had the toughest days of all. And here, as a result of that, Bob, his wife Heather, and their son Ryan were able to make some sense out of all of this, if it's possible, and to do some great things for the community of East Greenbush and the surrounding areas by setting up various fundraising mechanisms in cooperation with the Jimmy Fund out of Boston to try and do something productive to combat pediatric cancers. You know, many of us, you know, you wonder how you would react if faced with some adversity like this in your family. And I think many of us would just say, well, kind of think about how bad a break life has given you. But what the Yuha family has done over the years has contributed to their community, helped advance the cause of fighting pediatric cancers. And I say God bless them, God bless all of us, and most importantly, God bless Sean Yuha. So Bob, if you'd like to say anything at all, we'd appreciate it. Thanks.
I'd like to thank the Rensselaer County Legislature for having September 18th as Rensselaer County Goes Gold for Sean and for the other children that passed away and have been diagnosed with cancer. This is what makes us get out of bed every morning. People don't understand how hard it is to have a child pass away. People have their parents pass away, a friend, but a child, you're not supposed to bury your child. They're supposed to bury you. What we've done, as Tom said, we've raised hundreds of thousands of dollars so far in pediatric and childhood cancers, especially for the cancer that Sean passed away from, since it was so rare. There is no funding for this type of cancer. Currently, there's 95 children worldwide with this type of cancer. There is no cure. Sean was given 6 months to live. With everything we've done, my wife, as an RN, she knew what he should be eating, what not eating, what to do, what not to do, and being an advocate for him. If it wasn't for her, he would have lasted just that 6 months. He lasted 3 years from the day he was diagnosed. He passed away 3 years ago this past August. In the past 3 years, we've done a tremendous amount of work in the community to try to raise awareness in childhood cancers. Hopefully, one day there will be a treatment. But as of right now, there is none. There is no federal or state funding for childhood cancers. There's no trials, even to give a hope to a family that they could have some type of hope, knowing that their child has no survival rate, that only has a few days or a few months or maybe a year or so. There's no trials. There's trials for adults, but nothing for children. Just something to grasp hold of and say, yes, let's try this. Maybe it'll work, maybe not, but it's something they can have. But I'd like to thank, once again, the Rensselaer County Legislature for East Greenbush, or for Rensselaer County going gold. It means a lot to us and to my family and to all the other families living in Rensselaer County. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you again, Bob, and please continue to fight the good fight on this. Thank you. With that, is there anyone legislative clerk signed up? Nobody signed up? Okay. At this particular time, I would ask the clerk to call a roll, or call a meeting to order and ask the clerk to call a roll.
Mr. Bailey. Here. Mr. Binda just stepped out for a minute. Mr. Burns. Here. Mr. Casal? Here. Ms. Doran? Peter? Here. Mr. Testman?
Here.
Ms. Sullivan Tita? Ms. Weaver?
Here.
Mr. Wysocki?
Here.
Chairman Stammel?
Here.
There's currently 17 present.
Okay. This time I'd like to ask Legislator Grant for the invocation.
Lord God, we thank you that it is your will to strengthen us through your presence. Through Jesus Christ, the leader of your cause, who is and remains victor among all on earth. Your Holy Spirit can give us the strength to believe and hope, the strength to see the salvation that is coming to give joy to all the world. Amen.
Amen. Please remain standing. Mr. Grimm, the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Just going to update the attendance to 18. Mr. Bendet is now
Okay.
present.
Mr. Harrington.
Chairman, I move that we dispense with the reading of the minutes of the regular meeting of August 13, 2019, and approve the minutes as printed.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded on a question? All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Presentation of petitions.
On file?
Presentation of communications.
On file?
Presentation of commissions.
On file?
Departmental reports.
On file?
Report to standing committees.
On file?
And is there any local laws?
There are none tonight.
No local laws. For that, we'll move on to index of resolutions. First resolution will be P32319. Oh, I'm sorry, go right ahead.
P32319, resolution recognizing September as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month and September 18, 2019 as Rensselaer County Goes Gold Day, introduced by legislators Grant and the entire legislative body.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
18 ayes.
So moved. P32419.
P32419, resolution recognizing October as National Breast Cancer Awareness Month in Rensselaer County, introduced by legislators Fiacchio and the entire legislative body.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
18 ayes.
P32519.
P32519, resolution recognizing October 2019 as National Bullying Prevention Month, introduced by Chairman Stammel and the entire legislative body.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
18 ayes.
So moved. P32619.
P32619, resolution recognizing the 2019 Van Rensselaer Award recipients, introduced by legislators Grimm and the entire legislative body.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
18 ayes.
So moved. P32819.
P32719, resolution appointing members to the Rensselaer County Emergency Radio Communications Committee, introduced by legislators Testman, Grant, and Weaver.
On the question? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
18 ayes.
So moved. P32819.
P32819, resolution declaring Rensselaer County as a Second Amendment Preservation County, introduced by legislators Patiri, Wysocki, Stammel, Hoffman, Leverage, Harrington, Bailey, Bendet, Casal, Fiacco, Grant, Peter, and Testman.
On the question?
Chairman, if I may,
Yes, please, Mr. Grimm.
on this resolution, it's declaring Rensselaer County a Second Amendment Preservation County. I'd like to make an amendment on the floor, if I could, that we make this Rensselaer County a preservation of all amendments of the Constitution in honor of Constitution Week. I don't see that there is any one amendment that we should hold higher than any other amendment in our support or as a county representing them.
Thank you, Mr. Grimm. Is there a second on the amendment? There's a motion to amend and a second. Is all in favor?
What is the amendment? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Mr. Grimm, will you repeat the amendment?
The Second Amendment to all amendments.
Cindy Doran. Okay.
On a question? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So moved.
The amendment was moved.
There's
Resolution.
a regular resolution now. On the question? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So moved.
12 ayes. I'm sorry, 18 ayes.
Thank you, Mr. Grimm. Resolution declaring Rensselaer County, or, I'm sorry, a resolution. Yeah, I just got carried away. I just go with the flow, you know?
You can call it.
Yes, on the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
18 ayes.
So moved. Let's try it again. P 33019.
P 33019, resolution opposing the proposed fees associated with Governor Cuomo's mandatory license plate exchange program, introduced by Chairman Stamel and the entire legislative body.
On the question. Yes, Mr. Harrington.
Yeah. I just want to state on this one here with the license plates, mandatory exchange. I have to be a dairy farmer. We have probably 25 vehicles registered, maybe 2 more than that. And many of them are all older trucks that I have with blue and white plates. They're more than 10 years old. And we use them in the summertime to move all the crops in from harvest, but then we don't leave them all winter. And as far as I'm concerned, not in my situation, even just speaking on those items, to replace those plates look just like new. And I see no reason to replace those plates with new plates at my expense. I mean, if they wanted me to replace them, I don't mind. If they want to cover the expense, fine. But I don't see any reason to replace all those plates at our expense. As a matter of fact, I have some of the new yellow ones, and they're already deteriorating. So the white ones, I'm doing a good job making those new white ones up there. So I'm in favor of this resolution. I want full support. I think if they want it done at the state level, then they should pay for it.
Anyone else on the question?
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah, Mr. Grimm.
this has obviously been a hotbed of conversation throughout New York. And I think it's had a lot of conversation, and I've spoken to a lot of constituents about this, and, you know, hearing the voices of constituents, I think it's important that people think that they're getting gouged a little bit here with money. I've heard someone say at one point, well, hey, it's only $25, and I think, well, you know, reaching into people's pockets for $25 means a lot more to some people than others, but we are here to always be the voice for the people to speak up about this. So I am going to support this resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Grimm. Anyone else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
18 ayes.
So moved. Thank you. P 33119.
P 33119, resolution urging New York State to ban the use of polystyrene foam, introduced by legislators Grimm, Doran, Burns, Fleming, Sullivan, Tita, and Weaver.
On the question.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, here. This resolution we have sponsored, and we had some conversation earlier in special rules about this, and not sure that we'll have a full support from the majority. You know, this is an urging resolution to the state. The state is also already has in progress a law against polystyrofoam. You know, in today's world, we have a lot of global challenges. And, you know, whose responsibility is it to address those challenges? Well, I think it's ours. I think we start local, it grows. And I think with neighboring counties, cities, joining these people, or these communities, is a good thing. There are 3 points I'd like to make about banning polystyrofoam. And they all have to do with the toxic chemicals that are in these. They're toxic to the people that manufacture these products. They're toxic to the people who drink out of these products. Benzene breaks down in a cup of hot liquid. And it is also toxic forever in our landfills. I think there are 3 good reasons why we should support something like this and urge the state to pass this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Harrington.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I would just like to say that I too want to see probably 90% of the styrofoam that's not reused. I mean, I don't buy styrofoam cups, my family doesn't buy it. Don't use styrofoam plates. Anything that's in styrofoam, we don't use. I use paper whenever I can. However, to ban all polystyrofoam at this time think it's a concern, it's definitely a concern of mine, and then in dairy here in the mail quickly. That then is, that container, solid, is polystyrofoam that breaks up, and you need to break it up, throw it away, if you want to. And it comes in a cardboard, that comes in a cardboard box, you open the box, take the cover off of that. So I think that's and I wouldn't even mind if those things came in and returnable. I mean, if they said, okay, we'll send you the same thing, but you know, then you can send it back. I wouldn't even mind paying for it. But they ask for a complete elimination at this time without concern of certain items or whatever. You want to make food service, get rid of it, fine. But to say, to make a blanket, get rid of all polystyrofoam in the state of New York is a concern of mine, because many of our stuff comes from other states. So we're probably not going to jump on the bandwagon and say, just because they're in New York, we're going to send it in a different way. So that's my concern, and I'm going to vote no on this. If you want to make an amendment somewhere along the way, I would be welcome to an amendment of food service, whatever.
Thank you, Mr. Harrington. Legislator Peter.
I'd like to propose an amendment to the resolution to amend the title and the first resolve to include for use in food and drink containers after polystyrofoam.
Do you have that?
Second that.
Does the clerk have that?
We need to vote on the amendment.
Yeah, I just wanted to make
Yep.
sure you got the verbiage.
Yes.
Okay. There is an amendment on the floor on the question?
Do we have a second?
Yes, there was a second. Yes, this was. Yep. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
18 ayes on the amendment.
Okay. On the main resolution, still on the question? Do you have some? Yes. Legislator Pateri.
I understand everybody's concerns, but I think you have to understand also a complete ban, okay? Every one of us here that's driving a motor vehicle that has a painted front bumper cover has rigid styrofoam behind it as part of the crush and crumple zones for safety. If you were to pass this as a total ban, you couldn't even buy a new car. You wouldn't pass a crash test, okay? So food products, single-use service for food, things like that, makes total sense. A complete ban, unfortunately, does not. It just doesn't work, okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Something further? Yes, Legislator Grant.
I think this was a good piece of legislation to begin with. I think it's an even better piece of legislation with the amendment introduced. I'm very happy that this amendment passed on a bipartisan fashion with 18 votes in favor and 0 against, because that's really how you get things done. You don't get involved and get things accomplished with crass partisan politics. It's good to see us all working together on an issue that will provide, hopefully, some good direction to our governor and the members of the state legislature. And I'm proud to vote in favor of this resolution as amended. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? All in favor? Nope, sorry. Yes. See.
Mr. Chairman, I would
Yes,
just like to add, we live in a day and age where there's major concerns about the environment, and there's major concerns about health risks, opiate epidemics. There's all kinds of products that are on the market or marketable for consumption by consumers today. And I get the idea that we're all here to make difficult decisions sometimes. We're all here to better our planet. We're all here to provide assurance to our constituents that we have the best behavior, the best interest in mind. But at some point, banning isn't always the answer either. At some point, we need to start giving people options, opportunities, incentives, create ideas. We can't just continue to sit here and say, ban this. That's too easy. Let's come up with some real work. Let's do some engineering. Let's look for replacements of the styrofoam products that are becoming such a troublesome thing in our landfill. Let's just come up with a simple ban. Let's come up with an alternative. Let's come up with incentives in order to encourage people to start making better decisions. I just think that the banning idea, sometimes it's a necessary evil, but there's alternative methods to creating the same end result. And that's by using your imagination. Incentivizing companies to make better decisions, incentivizing consumers to make better decisions. It may be a more difficult path, but it seems to make more sense. Thank you.
Thank you, Legislator Tessman. Thank you very much. All in favor on the resolution with the amendment as part of, and making these amendments, but, you know, it would make a lot more sense for us as we go through committees to make these recommendations during committees and have the right resolution finalized before it comes on the floor. Though I do understand there are times where, you know, we have to make late adjustments, but just some fodder for thought, that's all. Thank you. All righty. Next, G, 33219.
G 33219, resolution authorizing an extension of the term period of a grant agreement with New York State Office of Indigent Legal Services, Public Defender, Conflict Defender, and County Attorney, introduced by legislators Sussman, Grant, and Weaver.
On the question. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
18 ayes.
So moved. G, 33319.
G 33319, resolution authorizing the acceptance of a grant from the New York State Governor's Traffic Safety Committee and amending the 2019 Rensselaer County Adopted Budget Office of the Sheriff, introduced by legislators Sussman, Grant, and Weaver.
On the question. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
18 ayes.
So moved. G, 33419.
G 33419, resolution authorizing the extension of a term period for a grant agreement with New York State Office of Indigent Legal Services, Public Defender, introduced by legislators Sussman, Grant, and Weaver.
On the question. All in favor? Aye. So moved.
18 ayes.
G, 33519.
G 33519, resolution authorizing an agreement for clinical services with the Lansingburg Central School District Department of Mental Health, introduced by legislators Grant, Tessman, and Sullivan Tita.
On the question. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
17 ayes, 1 abstention, Ms. Sullivan Tita.
So moved. G, 33619.
G 33619, resolution authorizing and directing the Rensselaer County Chief Fiscal Officer to correct the 2019 tax roll for the town of Grafton, Bureau of Tax Services, introduced by legislators Leverage, Stammel, and Grimm.
On the question. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
18 ayes.
So moved. G, 33719.
G 33719, resolution authorizing a sole source purchase of Brentwood components for the primary tank sewer district number 1, introduced by legislators Harrington, Bailey, and Fleming.
On the question. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
18 ayes.
So moved. G, 33919.
G 33819, resolution authorizing contract for transport and beneficial reuse of biosolids, sewer district number 1, introduced by legislators Leverage, Grant, Sullivan, Tita, Harrington, Bailey, and Fleming.
On the question for 338. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
18 ayes.
So moved. G, 33919.
G 33919, resolution authorizing the extension of the term of a grant agreement with New York State Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services, Bureau of Public Safety, introduced by legislators Tessman, Grant, and Weaver.
On the question. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
18 ayes.
So moved. G, 34019.
G 34019, resolution authorizing the installation of radio equipment, Bureau of Public Safety, introduced by legislators Tessman, Grant, and Weaver.
On the question. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
18 ayes.
So moved. G, 34119.
G 34119, resolution authorizing the extension of the term of a grant agreement with the New York State Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services, Bureau of Public Safety, introduced by legislators Tessman, Grant, and Weaver.
On the question. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
18 ayes.
So moved. G, 34219.
G 34219, resolution authorizing the purchase of emergency communications equipment, Bureau of Public Safety, introduced by legislators Tessman, Grant, and Weaver.
On the question. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
18 ayes.
So moved. G, 34319.
G 34319, resolution authorizing acceptance of an award from the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services and amending the 2019 Rensselaer County Adopted Budget, District Attorney, introduced by legislators Tessman, Grant, and Weaver.
On the question. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
18 ayes.
So moved. G, 34419.
G 34419, resolution authorizing the payment for additional plaster restoration work done at the main courthouse facility Buildings Department, introduced by legislators Harrington, Bailey, and Fleming.
On the question. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
18 ayes.
So moved. G, 34519.
G 34519, resolution amending the 2019 adopted Rensselaer County Budget, Bureau of Economic Development and Planning, introduced by legislators Bailey, Bendet, and Fleming.
On the question. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
18 ayes.
So moved. G, 34619.
G 34619, resolution authorizing the reconveyance of certain real property to the former owner listed below who paid tax arrearage in full prior to scheduling of auction sale, Bureau of Finance, introduced by legislators Leverage, Stammel, and Grimm.
On the question. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
18 ayes.
So moved. G 34719.
Grant, Sullivan, Tita, Bailey, Bendet, and Fleming.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
18 ayes.
So moved. G 34819.
G 34819, resolution authorizing acceptance of the legislative grant award from the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services and amending the 2019 Rensselaer County adopted budget. District Attorney, this is as amended in special rules. Introduced by legislators Testman, Grant, and Weaver.
On the question. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
18 ayes.
So moved. G 34919. Resolution, no, go ahead.
G 34919, resolution accepting overdose data to action grant funding from the New York State Department of Health and amending the 2019 adopted Rensselaer County budget. Department of Health and Mental Health. Introduced by legislators Grant, Testman, and Sullivan. Tita.
On the question. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
18 ayes.
So moved. G 35019.
G 35019, resolution authorizing acceptance of a grant award from the New York State Office of Victim Services and amending the 2019 Rensselaer County adopted budget. District Attorney, introduced by legislators Testman, Grant, and Weaver.
On the question. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
18 ayes.
So moved. G 35119.
G 35119, resolution amending the 2019 Rensselaer County adopted budget, general, county road machinery, and capital project funds, highway. Introduced by legislators Harrington, Bailey, and Fleming.
On the question. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
18 ayes.
So moved. G 35219.
G 35219, resolution authorizing an extension of the term period of a grant agreement with the New York State Office of Indigent Legal Services, Public Defender, Conflict Defender, and County Attorney. Introduced by legislators Testman, Grant, and Weaver.
On the question. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
18 ayes.
So moved. G 35319.
G 35319, resolution authorizing an agreement for salting, sanding, and snow plowing services at the John Murphy Building, Buildings Department. Introduced by legislators Lovett, Grant, Sullivan, Tita, Harrington, Bailey, and Fleming.
On the question. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
18 ayes.
So moved. G 35419.
G 35419, resolution authorizing an agreement for mapping and design services, Highway Department. Introduced by legislators Lovett, Grant, Sullivan, Tita, Harrington, Bailey, and Fleming.
On the question. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
18 ayes.
So moved. G 35519.
G 35519, resolution authorizing an agreement to retain Bolaños Low PLLC to represent Rensselaer County in labor and employment matters, Bureau of Human Resources. Introduced by Chairman Stammel.
On the question. Yes, please.
As we know, we received this late file when we came into the office today. Thankfully, our administrative assistant did a little bit of background work, and you were kind enough to try to bring us up to speed on the file. It appears to me, my first thought is that I would have to vote no on it because I'm not clear of all the details. I know that we did not put this out for bid to find out if there were other attorneys out there who might have offered a same service with a lower cost. We were concerned about cost. But I'm going to have to abstain because I was involved in a working relationship with the attorney in the resolution, and I don't believe that I should be voting on this matter. There may be other people who are in that situation also.
Thank you. I forgot all about that. Thank you. On the question, yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, as Ms. Doran said, this came to us kind of late. You know, I had some concerns in special groups over
Yes, sir.
this about are we doing the best, you know, financially, are we doing our best effort here to find this? This was the only person we heard of to do the service. I don't know if there are other people out there. It wasn't something that went out to bid normally, so I hear. But I would just like a little more time on this. And I myself have worked with the person of this new agency, and I can't, from my experience, recommend this person.
Thank you. Anyone else on the question?
Mr. Chairman, if I could.
Yes.
Most of us are aware of this person who has been representing the county and has been working closely with the county executive and his staff to try to settle several labor agreement contracts, a law firm who we've had experience with, as well as in the work that she and her colleagues have done, has saved the county through some of these contract negotiations considerable amount of money. My feeling is that we do need a labor attorney right now on staff, a retainer, who can provide those services when the county attorney or other senior staff need it. So I'm in favor of this.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, this is a new enlightenment for me. I did not know that we have worked with this company before. I thought this company was new. I thought this person was someone that moved over from France.
We talked about that. And
So we've only used her. We have not used this company.
That's right.
Lotus,
Oh, okay.
yes.
I just
Yes.
wanted to thank you.
And from what I understand, this was not something that we were required to go out for an RFP.
No, that is correct. Professional services, we really don't have to go out and do an RFP for, though I with some of my colleagues, as well as with you, Mr. Grimm, I see no reason why not in the future maybe to put this out for an RFP. At the current situation that we're in now, we have cut ties with the other attorney firm that was representing us, and negotiations are going on, though we did very well with labor negotiations with this firm. The county exec says over the life of the contracts, all of them that were signed, the